In today's episode, I wear a hat. Coming up, we're covering off the Tony Stevens Memorial Club Classic, plus other news and views, and a wee word about GoPro. Stick around, stay tuned, watch here, watch there, watch over there. You know me, all about this. See you soon. Hey, welcome back. On today's episode, we're talking about Tony Stevens Memorial Club Classic. What a great weekend that was. Numbers were a little down, but still a great event. Good racing, good camaraderie across the weekend. It was really awesome to see. For this year's event, we focused on fronties, and we had a little bit of a nostalgic theme going. Not that a lot of people per, partake, partook. That's the right word, isn't it? Partook in it, and using paint schemes or retro shells or something like that, based out of the 1990s Super Touring era, like what we've got here with my representation of the old school Nescafe Alf Renault Lagunas, even though it's not a Honda Civic shell, but still, that was the idea of it. And we would have our top 10 shootout for the top 10 qualifiers, as the name says. Um, I even managed to get in there. Don't know how that happened, but hey, I'll take it. Um, and then there was a little bit of an issue. And it's happened to me a couple of times before. And it's not about men's health or anything like that. It's about GoPro. So I use the GoPro camera as my webcam at events. It's attached to the and it's attached to the top of the tripod. And then I plug it in and run it to the computer basically as a webcam. I don't run a battery in it. You can see there the aperture's nice and open. The no SIM card or anything like that in it. Um, so yeah, but on the Tony Stevens Memorial Club Classic in the top 10 shootout, just as it did at the Waikato Pro Invitationals, it shut down when I least expected it. It's prone to overheating. I think all these action type cameras do it. I'm currently filming this using a DJI Action, and it does the same thing. Even though it doesn't shut down, it turns all its peripherals off, but it keeps recording or keeps streaming. Whereas this will just stop working and you'll get it locked. You'll still hear because I run a separate recording for audio. You'll still hear all that, but it'll be locked at something. So I'll pop what the top 10 shootout was supposed to look like. Well, what we actually got up here. You'll see that, oh, sorry, over that side over here. I'll pop that up there so you can see how it worked or didn't work. And then also I'll pop in a couple other funny little things that happened across the weekend as well. In and around tennis balls, and cars doing massive jumps. All these different things that happened across the weekend, trying to take the race director out. That's me. Because for whatever reason. Yeah, so stick around. In terms of news, so we've had the Club Classic. Our overall winner was Neville Bishop. He took away the spoils of this one. The actual front wheel drive class winner was Gail Buno Ware. He won the class. He also won 13.5 and modified as well. I think I might have to just double check that. He might have actually come second in 13.5. Something will pop up there in a second just to correct myself. Or over there. Here. Across here. Who knows? Oh, just while I talk about it, you might notice the digs look a little different today. So on the home front, this week, not only have I been cursed with the scourge of man flu, which has rendered me completely useless, even more useless than normal over a weekend. Um, we've also had a bit of a punami in our bathroom where a very important part of the household disposal units um, poo-pooed itself, um, and meant that we had to vacate our our bedroom because our bedroom backs onto our bathroom. Yeah, so we've now taken over where the office is, and the office is now where the storage area is. So this room's about the size of a matchbox, quite cozy. But I think we're going to leave the studio in here. I've got some cool stuff coming, which I'm going to show at a later date when it all gets here. We'll give this area a bit of a tidy up and make it a little bit more RC or studio friendly. And then I'll run you through some of the things I've brought to fill this space. Um, in terms of other things happening at North Harbour and on the channel, I've got something coming up in a couple of weeks' time, which I'll post up on my Facebook page a little bit later on. Yes, I now have a Facebook page for DM Media. It's out there. That'll be in the link below. Check that out. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's been a busy couple of weeks with racing and lots of racing. And like I said earlier, the Tony Stevens Memorial Club Classic went off without a hitch. Beautiful weather, lovely warm days. A little bit of a chill in the air though. And we had, it was a good time, and the whole event is based about having a good time and also remembering Tony, who was our club president for a long time. We've hashed the story around a few times. We had both his boys racing across the weekend as well, so that was really cool to see. Um, so yeah, so like I said, there's some footage coming up a little later on. We're showing the front wheel drive class, the three A mains for that. And at a later date, I'll drop in some other bits and pieces on some of the other classes that ran, notably the mini class. That was Tony's forte. That was the class that he loved. So I'll drop in some info about that in a few weeks' time. And other news, this weekend, as it happens right now at time of recording, the 2024 Southland Indoor Champs are taking place. This is quite a unique event. It's in the bottom of the South Island. It's in Invercargill, held by the Invercargill Radio Control Car Club. And they run it over a 2-day weekend on carpet, and they run both on road and off road. So the first day is, I believe, off road, and the second day is on road, or it might be the other way around. But there is some footage. There's been some footage put up onto YouTube. I'll pop a link down below so you can have a look at it. It's a pretty cool little circuit, pretty fast, and the venue seems to be pretty cool as well. So, hey, look, it might be one of those things. I believe, well, I don't believe, excuse me, they've got the rights for the 2025 on-road nationals in the Carlton Club. So where they're planning to hold it is they've got a velodrome down there, um, and it's the same type of surface as what North Harbour is. So rush tires and that sort of thing work down there. The really cool thing is it's temperature controlled, so it doesn't matter what time of the year they run it, the temperature will be a even whatever it'll be, 21, 22 degrees all day long. And it's undercover, so weatherproof. So they're beavering away in the background trying to put that together. We hope they don't put it too early in the year because there's a lot of major events coming up, and like always in the summer months. Yeah. So looking forward to Invercargill putting together the 2025 edition of the NZRCA EP On Road Nationals. Um, they've got it'll be run on an all-weather place, so it doesn't matter what time of the year they run it, it'll just go ahead. So that gives them the opportunity to avoid a lot of these other meetings coming up. New Zealand, we've got in a couple of weeks' time, we've got the 2024 TIR Triple C Open Champs down in Tauranga. That's another indoor off-road event. We've also got the 2024 Hardware Champs down in Christchurch. And then over Labour Weekend, we've got the Canterbury RC Car Club's traditional long weekend event that they run. So that's October. That's their South Island Champs, and there's also not something not a discipline I've covered too much, or I haven't covered any of it to be fair. Is large scale. So over the same weekend in the North Island and the Hawke's Bay, we got the 17RC Large Scale Speedway Championships coming up. Haven't again, I need to go along and have a look, check one of these events out at some point, and see what it's all about. I'd say it'll be pretty fast and loud, being big cars, 1/7 scale, they're pretty big. But I'd love to go along and check that out, even at a club level event, just to see how it goes ahead. Um, in the wider world of things, the 1/10 scale Euro champs have just taken place in Sweden, I believe it is. I can't recall the name of the building that they were in, but it was indoors for the first time ever. Michael Olowski for Schumacher took away the two-wheel drive division, and I believe Bruno Coelho has won the four-wheel drive division, and that was crowned this morning, New Zealand time. A couple of people weren't overly happy on that the facilities were an indoor track, even though they do a lot of indoor racing in Europe because of the weather. There's a few people there who believe that it should be outdoors because it's their summertime at the moment or just coming into the winter. There's a post kicking around from Craig Drescher, who is a multiple world, national, European, you name it, he's got it, champion, team associated driver, complaining about tyres and complaining about the inconsistencies and how it's unfair and rah, 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 all that typical stuff. If I can find his link, I'll pop it in the comments down below. But yeah, check out again. I'll put the YouTube clicks down below as well, so for you to have a look at if you can't find them yourselves, they'll all be there. Um, but yeah, so we're rounding up the back end of our year with quite a busy one. Few big events still left to run. Like we've still got the 8th scale off road nationals to be run in November down in Nelson. They were going to run it late last year or early this year, but they decided to push it back simply because of the big contingency of drivers from New Zealand going across to the ABCs in the Philippines, which was in about February, March, April, I believe, so somewhere in there. Um, and and good on the Nelson Club for going, hey, we realise that we're not going to have big numbers. Let's push the event out. So that's really good of them to do that. These things can happen from time to time. We don't want to take away from a national event by not having your best drivers there. You always want to, if you would become a national champion, you want to do it on merit, not because half the team is somewhere else. And this ABC thing has really taken off, and it's really cool to have it come to New Zealand earlier this year, with Scotty Ernst and his team from RC Media in Australia coming out and running it, and having Ryan Lutz come out from America and a big contingent from Australia out here as well. Uh, and then believe for 2025 it's going to be bigger and better again with more people coming out. So looking forward to seeing that. I'll try and get some coverage of the event there, and just do some spot stuff around with the camera and capture some stuff and drop some stuff in for you people who can't make it. And then of course we've got the Worlds coming up for 1/10 electric off road, being held in Sydney. That is about this time next year, I believe it is. There's a few people like the Toyas and young Casey Dawson are heading over for next weekend, I believe it is. They're heading across to run in their warm up event on the same, won't be the same track, but it'll be at the same venue. So they're going across to get their eye in and see what it's like. Um, so we wish them luck. Hopefully we'll get to catch up with them when they get back and see how they got on. I'm sure RC Media will be there as well. So on my Facebook page, if I find the links and they become available, I'll pop them in there as well for you to find later on. Like I said, I've got something coming up pretty special in a couple of weeks once I've finished filming and editing. Um, so yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It should be good. Until then, let's go and check out the racing from the 2024 edition of the Tony Stevens Memorial Club Classic front wheel drive A mains, plus a few little outtakes, and we'll see you on the flip side. All right, so we're under starters orders for A main number one for front wheel drive for the 2024 version of the Tony Stevens Memorial Club Classic. All the marshals, here we go. We're off and running. Gale, we're all just getting tagged a little bit there from the man in the 3 spot. I think that was Neville, or possibly even Jamie Holmes in his Automatics. Colours are quite dark, so it's a bit hard to tell the difference, but that looks like that's in the 3rd spot there. Currently, we've got Neville Bishop out in front, leading the way so far. We've got Gale being harassed already by Colin Story in his X-ray. A little further back, we've got Neville defending himself to Jamie Holmes and Alex Beck in the 5th spot. Making our way through first few laps here, starting to settle down into a bit of a race rhythm, and there's another tennis ball on the track. This has been a common theme throughout the weekend. We're sharing the facilities with a tennis coach next door, and every now and then we get the odd ball on the court, as you would have seen in some of the other highlights of Speedy collecting one of the balls perfectly earlier on, or later on, depending on how you're viewing this and when this is being played. But so far, we're in the first 60 seconds of this race, and Gale is leading the way over Colin Story with Neville in 3rd, Jamie still holding at 4th, and Daniel York up into the 5. Just try and pick up on where Daniel is in his car. There he goes, just going across the stripe now, through turn 1, turn 2 on the switchback, round through the sweeper, back through the back chicane now, and coming onto the back straight away in his yellow and green car with the pink wing, just running through the sweeper now, being harassed by a few other cars in behind him. A bit of a build-up of cars in the background there. We've got some of our faster cars making their way through. Some of our protagonists of this class, like Gavin Dawson, a little further down at this stage than what he should be. For whatever reason, his car not quite performing to how he had expected in this opening stanza. Dillinger in the yellow and red car going through the infield now. Always tends to show a clean set of heels out in front, or not out in front. Oh, he's just given away a position there. I think that's our leader going through on him. He's got 2nd place right in behind him now. Gets out of the way. Great driving there from Dillinger, moving out of the way of the faster cars coming through. He's going to have Neville coming up onto him any second now as they go down the back straightaway. Neville's got his own battles to deal with, making his way through some back markers there, putting a lap on Chris Stevens and the all-pink pig that just tips upside down there for a minute. That's a speedy car, that one, running the Audi RS3 TCR body shell, the only sedan body shell that's in this final. Everyone else is running hatchbacks. Some guys there just getting out of the way. We've got our leaders going through, putting a lap on Daniel York. He gets out of the way, driving nicely there. Dillinger not too far behind him. Let's see where he is on the podium. We've got Daniel still holding on to that 5th spot. Dillinger's actually just in behind him. So if we watch this battle as they're going in through the infield now, the yellow and green car with the pink wing of Daniel just coming onto the back straight now. Dillinger in behind him as they come through the sweeper into turn 1. Daniel keeping it nice and tight. Dillinger running a little wide that time. Now back through the switchback and in through the infield, through the chicanes there. Daniel just opening up a little bit of a gap there as they go down the front straightaway and through the sweeper. Relatively quick lap around this place. It's about 11 seconds for these guys at the moment. Temperatures are pretty warm, so the tyre grip is good, but I can see physically now, there's a small mistake there from Daniel that time around, and that's allowed Dillinger right up on his back bump now as they come through the back straightaway. Dillinger's made a move and gotten past. He's got another car in behind them now looking to buy into this. A little bit of rubbing and racing going on there. Not quite sure who that is. That looks like it's maybe Gabby Dawson trying to make his way through and make his way back up the field, running his Montec body shelled Schumacher, I believe it is. Back through the switchback he goes, putting a move on Daniel. Dillinger running really wide through there as they're coming into turn 1, running a little wide. Now here comes Gavin in through the infield now, looking to make a move on Dillinger in the yellow and orange car. Down the back straightaway goes. There goes Gabby through on the inside. Cross the stripe they go. He's taken another position. That's pushing both Dillinger and Daniel down another spot into 6 and 7. For whatever reason, Alex Beck is out of this one at this stage. He's dropped right back in the order with 11 seconds left to run. It's all down to the final few seconds now as we run to the line. Our leaders are coming up to the loop this time around. We've got Gale going across the line. They're all on the final few seconds of the laps now as they're all finishing off. Someone's just collected the barrier on the way through. Great racing there from everybody. We're looking forward to seeing what happens in leg number 2. Right, here we go. A main leg number 2. The grid is set, looking a little tatty, but we're waiting for the starter's orders as everyone gets into position. And we're away and running. Neville Bishop getting a whole shot there over Colin Story along with Dillinger Rawari as they go through the first parts of the complex this time around. Gale leading the way now. And with Neville in that second spot, Colin Story ranging up on his back bumper now as they go through the infield, looking to find a way past, waiting for Neville to make an error, possibly making an error there. We've got Gavin Dawson up into that 4th spot already, working his way down. Dillinger's been bundled back into a couple of positions further back in the pack. Jamie Holmes right back in 10th place this time around. Believe he was scrubbing in some tyres for the final round, trying to give himself a better position by running in some some new tyres. But yeah, he's a long way off the pace with those tyres. Meanwhile, Colin Story's made his way past in the all fluoro red car on Neville Bishop's black Tronus Mercedes-Benz shelled Schumacher that he's running. We've got Gale opening up a bit of a gap there over Colin as he comes back through the switchback on turn number 1 and into 2 and 3, round through the sweeper, in through the other switchback at the back end of the track. Now they're looking to put another lap on. I'm not quite sure who that's just ahead of them. I believe that's still Jamie running around there at the back of the pack, scrubbing those tyres, and they definitely is. He's running the Alpine, not Alpine, the Aston Martin coloured body shell Mercedes-Benz that he's got for his Automatics car. He's definitely well off the pace there. A little further back in the pack, Neville Bishop holding down that 4 spot. Dillinger Rawari in the 5. Early protagonist Daniel York is in 8th. Alex Beck moving his way up into the 6th spot. Chris Stevens having a better run this time around in the 7. The leaders going through the infield now, still pushing hard, fighting each other for every part of the track as they go through the back end of the track. Across the stripe they go now. There's not a lot between these two. Drivers giving them plenty of room, though. It's great driving. Oh, there's been an error there by Gale. Looks like it was a forced error too, so Colin checks up and lets him take that position back as they go back down the front straight away again. We're almost at the halfway stage, or just over the halfway stage, so 2.5 down, 2.5 to go. Not sure who that is in front of them. It's possibly me. Look at that nice tidy line that I took just there through the infield. I'm getting out of the way of the other two cars as they go through. Nice and cleanly there go the faster drivers, keeping them honest. Colin trying everything he can to make a move on Gale and make it stick, but Gale answers them every time, blocking him, even with slower traffic ahead of them as they come through the back markers now. Back round through the switchback on the infield, sweeping through onto the main straightaway they go. As I said in the earlier, there's a connection there as they just come up to the loop there. Colin Story getting into the back of Gale that time around. Colin checks it up before he makes it too much of a bigger error and needing to have a drive-through penalty. A little bit hard when I'm on the driver's stand at the same time. But anyway, we never know what can happen on these things. Just focusing on these two guys now with 1:23 left to run. Colin is really putting the acid on Gale as they come back through the infield now. They've got Chris Stevens. Chris gets out of the way of them. So go through the front straightaway down to turn number 1. Back through the switchback and through the short chute to turns 4 and 5. Small mistake there by Collins. Allowed Gale to skip away just ever so much down that front straightaway. But in through that infield, through turns 1 and 2, Colin really climbs up on the back bumper of Gale's Gulf Western paint-jobbed Mercedes-Benz. Back through that turn number 2, through the sweeper at 3, into 4, 5, and 6 they go, keeping it nice and tidy. Down the straightaway. Nothing between it. Colin looking for a way past that time around, trying to go around the outside of him, thinking better of it, trying to sneak up on the inside through 4, 5. Still doesn't have a lot there for him. We've got 27 seconds left to run as Colin's putting all sorts of pressure on the back of Gale now as they go back through the infield in 4, 5, and 6 complex. Down the straightaway they go through the final turn. Back into 2 and 3. Keeping it nice and tidy. Colin, making a mistake there. That's allowed Gale to skip away a little bit. Colin caught the curb that time around. Got 6 seconds left to run. This will be their final lap as they go through the complex again. Back through 4, 5, and 6. Not a lot left in it. They do have markers ahead of them. So they come across the stripe now. Gale takes that 2 from 2. And that gives him our 2024 Tony Stevens front-wheel drive champion is Gale Buno-Ware with Colin Story in the second spot. Third spot still open. It's Gavin Dawson showing on the ticker at 3. All right, here we go for A-Main leg number 3. Cars are just getting into their positions for the final one of the day. These guys have done well all weekend. The racing all weekend has been fantastic. Great marshalling, great driving from all involved. Waiting for the last car to get into position. You can see, it looks like it's me on the back. Taking my time getting into position. Grid's still a little wonky, but here we go. We're on the final countdown now as we're about to get underway for A-Main leg number 3, and we're off and running. Gale leading away from his P1. And again, Neville gets a whole shot over Colin's Story, but Colin comes back at him. Now Neville's come back at him again, and there's a real battle on for this position. Well, let's see where Gavi is in this one as well. I can't quite see him at this stage. There he goes across the stripe this time around. He's back in the pack a little bit. This race is going to go down to the wire for 3rd and 4th spot with Gavi and Neville. It's all playing out for sheep stations. There's Neville is up into that 2 spot. He's really pushed Colin's Story out of the way now. Not that it really matters because Colin's got two second places above Neville's 3 and a 4 or a 5, I think it was in the earlier heat. So he just needs to keep Gavin at bay. And I believe that's Gavin in behind Colin's car as they go through the infield now. We've got some other cars coming up to challenge as well. There looks like Daniel York going through as well. So many orange and pink cars now. It's hard to tell who's who. Tarly and Charlie looks like it's me. Feels weird talking about myself. No, that's Dillinger's out. Daniel's in the 9 spot. I'm in 8. Chris Stevens in 6, Alex Beck in the 6. So as we go across the stripe again, we've got Gale still leading that way from Neville. Looks like there's been a change in the play there. Neville's holding on to that 2 spot. Colin Story in the 3 as they go across the stripe yet again. In that 4 spot, we've got Jamie Holmes. Those tyres have come in beautifully. Might have left his run a little bit late in the day, but he's really pushing on hard. We've got Gavin Dawson down in the 4 spot. Bit of wind buffeting the camera there, or as James May says, buffeting. Try and pick up on these leaders. Now Colin Story's putting immense pressure on Neville as they come back through 4, 5, and 6 and down the front straightaway to the sweeper up into 1. Hard on the picks into 1. Round into 2 they go through the sweeper at 3. Colin's just dropped back. Well, he's dropped back a long way back. Now he's been challenged. Somebody's running slow there. That looks like they're getting out of the way. Good driving there, whoever that was. Just making sure they stay out of the front runner's way so not to cause any issues there. Chris Stevens upside down in the pink Audi. Neville still holding on to that 2 spot for the moment. He is getting maximum pressure, though, from Colin Story, even though that gap is opening up. Colin's dropping back a little bit now to Jamie Holmes. Gavin Dawson lurking there in the 5 spot, looking to make a move as they go through 4, 5, and 6. On the front straightaway they go. Down the front chute they go. We got Gavin there trying to make a move on everybody. A little further back, we got Daniel York playing into this as well. Some of the back markers are starting to play into the field now as they starting to go down a lap. All right, so we're minute 40 left to run. We've got Dillinger is out of this one. Gale still leading the way. Neville holding on to that 2 spot. Colin in the 3. Jamie 4. Gavin 5. Alex 6. Chris 7. Daryl in 8. Daniel 9. So a real little battle going on here for the minnow places. It's all about the pride. Everyone wants to puff their chest up and go, woohoo, look at me. I finished in an A main higher than 10th. But at the end of the day, it's good, clean racing. And it's great to see this kind of caliber of driving that's going on out there at the moment. Neville still holding on to that 2 spot, just clipping the inside barrier that time around. Colin dropping back. Oh, no, she's come back at him now. His tyres must have come in a little bit more. Not much between them now. There's a real battle between Jamie and Gav. I'll just try and pick up on where they are. There goes Neville across the stripe now. Jamie Holmes is in a hot pursuit. Oh, who's that? That looks like that's the pink car of Chris Stevens, just getting caught on the barrier there, being rolled over. Meanwhile, Colin Story's come back up on the back bumper of Neville as they come down into the final 25 seconds left to run. We got some people making some last-ditch efforts there to try and improve their position. Some cars coming on song at the last moment. There's somebody catching the curb at 4 and 5 complex. Oh, who's that up on the barrier there on the infield there, just catching the inside wheel, throwing their car up onto 2 wheels. Was that Jamie? I think it was. Yeah, Jamie's dropped back a bit. He's got Daniel York not too far behind him. Daniel's getting out of the way of somebody else there. We're all but done here as the guys cross the ticker now. So Gale takes that one out. Hey, welcome back. Hey, look, wasn't that some great, exciting racing? Gale, where really showing his mettle throughout that front wheel drive class. Colin Story was really pushing hard to keep him honest throughout all 3 heats. And Neville Bishop. Yeah, what can I say? Neville was always one of these guys who will just pop up anywhere and he'll put the cat amongst the pigeons and end up podium. So congratulations to our top 3 there for front wheel drive. Great racing across the weekend, and it was great to be involved with these guys. I'm normally a B mainer, and this we'll see in front wheel drive or touring cars at the best of times. So it was great to be in there running with them, and I finally got my head around racing with these guys. And in the last little bit on that AMA number 3, really got my stuff together and was coming for the guys, but left it a little too late. But hey, look, it is what it is. It was a great weekend, epic racing across all classes. The live loop system that we used for qualifying really worked well. I didn't stream any of that because qualifying. Most of you who know me think qualifying is pretty boring, but it's a necessity. We have to do it. Doesn't make for good coverage, really, um, unless you got lots of cars. And you got lots and lots of people to talk about and how the bump ups and all that sort of different bits and pieces. Um, but I'll run through the top 3 of our winners. So we'll start off with Formula One. So third overall, we had Casey Dawson running an X-Ray, and then dear old dad Gavin in second spot, and then our winner Matthew van der Haas taking out that top P1 spot with his 3D printed car, looking awesome there. I'm not going to talk about the mini challenge because I'm saving that for a little bit later on. Obviously, those of you who've been online to Live RC will see what the results are, but hey, I'm not going to talk about it right now. Super GT was another great racing there, fairly good racing across the board. Third went to Gavin Dawson running his Montec Porsche. Richard Price in his Clio Show Montec Porsche was second, and Speedy in his McLaren took out P1. He really wasn't headed across the weekend. Didn't have it all his own way, but he really wasn't headed. Modified, yeah, good racing here. Little light on numbers, but the boys when they got their cars wound up. We had some great racing across the weekend. Jamie Holmes in his automatics in third. Casey Dawson in his X-ray was second, and he did some pretty mean drifting moves in there. And Gail, Ware taking out that top one spot. Just going to show that this young man's got plenty of talent, and he knows how to wield a touring car. Then we'll jump to 13.5. Now, this is where the upset happened. We had Anthony Mara come in and run in 13.5, and he ended up third overall. And then our pole sitter, Gail Ware, for whatever reason, just couldn't gather it up. We had some really close racing in A1 between himself and Matthew Vanderhaas. And in the end, it went right down to Matt got a first and a second, and Gales got a first and a third, and I think his next one down from that was a fourth or a DNF. So he was having some problems with his car across the weekend. He was saying that it was the electronics were giving a little bit of grief for whatever reason, which is unfortunate. But man, that A main number one was close. Like they were bumper to bumper the whole way around, giving no room for error. And they kept it clean, these two. Even coming from the back markers, they were really keeping it clean. And the other drivers in that heat were getting out of their way as well. So that was awesome to see. Awesome racing to see. So I hope to see more of that in the future months with these two. Um, yeah. So then we move on to 21.5. And yeah, we had young Eddie Kim come up from Taranaki to come and race. Really good to see him. He's quite amped. He's now the new distributor for the RC maker SP1. Um, we hope to see one or two of those cars pop up our club at some point. Be cool to get a good look at them. They look pretty cool on paper. But going into our top three, so third overall, Anthony Mara. He drove well over the weekend kept his nose really clean. Gavin Dawson up into that two spot. He drove really well as well. I believe he's running an express this weekend as opposed to his normal HPI. And then taking out the spoils, Hayden Gordon. He's uh, always improving. Can be rapid on a good day. Can also crash in your ankle pretty hard too, as I found out during qualifying. But good guy, good racer, hard racer, fair racer. Actually, all of them are fair racers, and like 21.5 is just getting faster and faster. I think most of them were running the old spec control motor, so it'd be interesting to see how they go for next year, and see what gains they make and how fast they go. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. We will leave that there for this time round, and like I said. I'll put a link down to my socials. So on Facebook at the moment, I'll bring an Instagram across at some point as well. And then also I'll update you with some other bits and pieces as well. And I'd love to hear your feedback. If you got any comments, any suggestions of what you'd like to see on this channel as well, please hit me with it. I'm open to anything. Well, almost anything. We'll just leave that there. Because I know Steve Looms will be watching and he'll be thinking of something. So, Steve, shh, children are watching. All right, guys and girls, don't forget to click like, comment, and subscribe. Sorry about the nasaliness with my man flu. I hope to be better on my next recording. And we'll see you on the next one. Until then, cheers. Stop calling me Shirley.